My name is Jillian Perrick, and I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I hope to one day inspire women with invisible disabilities to overcome their limiting beliefs and start the business of their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women beat their inner imposter using neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Let's get started, girlfriend. Hey everybody. So I sound like this because I stayed up till like 4 a.m. last night with my girlfriends. We had a much needed girls' night. Corona has obviously kept us apart, but the province of Ontario has lifted some restrictions, so we were able to get together and it was really, really nice. And now I'm recording podcast episodes and meditations and a sleep hypnosis. A couple of my clients were like, we always fall asleep when you record your hypnosis tracks. And I was like, ooh, should I create a sleep hypnosis? They're like, yes. So I am creating one for them. I'm going to put it in the Mindset Resource Vault. And if you do not have access to that, that is because you are not one of my clients. That's where I'm going with this. And if you are one of my clients, you get access to a full Mindset Resource portal in which you have EFT tapping sequences, hypnosis tracks, all that jazz. But to start this episode off, I want to say that this episode is sponsored by the From Imposter to Empowered course, my signature course, my signature 10-step methodology condensed into an amazing and easy and effortless online course that you can take at any time. You can binge it, and then when stuff starts to come up again, you can use the techniques and the strategies that are in this course. I heard a lot from people who were unable to make it work when it came to my NLP sessions or my one-to-one coaching, and I didn't really have a low-tier offer. But when I created the From Imposter to Empowered course, I really had it in mind that there are people who want to do this work but may not necessarily be able to work with a mindset coach just yet. It's definitely something that when you get started, you don't think I need a mindset coach, but once you get one, you're like, oh my God, this is so helpful, because entrepreneurship is an emotional roller coaster. I talk to my clients like once a week, and they always have something that is coming up. They always have something that we need to work on, do some NLP on, sprinkle a little magic on it. And this course really encompasses the tools and strategies that I use with my clients to get them amazing results in business, and not only in business, in their personal lives as well. So that is at the link in my show notes, and you can buy it for $147. But if you, a podcast listener, want 15% off, you can type in FITE podcast, FITE podcast, and you can get 15% off and get that course. I'm so excited for you to start, and tag me at your Coach Jill when you're going through the modules on your Instagram story. I would love to see. So today, let's talk about your worth and why I don't want you to charge your worth. Now, we hear this a lot in the online space, especially when it comes to coaches. Charge your worth. You're worthy of being compensated. You are good enough to be compensated well for your services. And I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. But something that I've been thinking about lately and really leaning in towards is the fact that charging your worth is pretty arbitrary, because a lot of us don't have the self-esteem or the self-worth because of past experiences, childhood experiences, cultural and societal norms, etc., limiting beliefs, all that jazz. But that is primarily the reason why people come to me, is because they need to be reminded of their worthiness. And I say reminded because you are inherently worthy from birth. You are good enough simply because you came into this earth. You arrived here a blank slate, and you were simply just bogged down by external experiences that are contributing as to why you don't feel good enough now. So when I say you're inherently worthy and then I tell you to attach a price tag to it, you're going to have a difficult time doing that. And that's because even if you do have really high self-esteem and you feel really, really good about yourself and you know that you're good enough, it doesn't make sense to attach an arbitrary price to our personal and inherent worthiness. It doesn't make sense because we ourselves are priceless. We are invaluable as human beings. There is no way that you can encompass all that I am in a simple price tag. And that is why I say I don't want you to charge your worth. I want you to charge your economic value. Now, your economic value is what your services and what your experience and skill set have to offer to your potential client or potential customer or buyer. Your economic value is something that goes up over time because you gain more experience and more skill set. That's why, as a coach, in the beginning of 2019, I was charging $25 for a group coaching program. And then in July, I was coaching $1,300. July 2019, I was charging $1,300, and then I increased it to $2,000, and then I increased it from there, etc., etc. And it just went up from there. So your economic value is something that will go up over time with more experience, with increasing your skill set. I didn't have my certification in NLP or any of that stuff until January of this year. That skyrocketed my expertise and skill set. Not that I already didn't have like a psychology degree and a master's degree and tons of experience under my belt, but that added another component to my coaching experience, and it really did explode in terms of my NLP sessions, which I'll put in the show notes as well. Those are life-changing. They are 90 minutes and they're amazing. But when I started doing more of those, I saw like a really big growth in my confidence in terms of I know that I can do this. I know that I'm good at it. I know what parts of coaching I enjoy and what parts I don't. And it was growing my economic value, but it wasn't growing my inherent worthiness. I have always been worthy. I was worthy before therapy and I'm worthy after therapy. I am good enough simply because I am, and it doesn't matter what I produce or what I do. I know that I am good enough and I am loving and I am a child of the universe or a child of source, and they're always looking out for me. But when it comes to my economic value, that is something that I had to grow. And why is this so important to separate the two? Because when you are being told to charge your worth and you don't feel good enough, they're asking you to attach a price tag to your inherent worthiness. And then that's when you make it personal. That's when you work with somebody and they're like, oh my God, really shocked at your price or whatever it is, you start doubting yourself. You start thinking, am I really worth it? And then you go down the thought spiral. And that is a lot of the reason why imposter syndrome exists for you. You may really be trying to attach your worth to your personal inherent value or worthiness. And it's just not the case. It's a terrible way to go about because your economic value and your value as a human are completely different. There are so many things in the world that offer value too that don't necessarily have to be financial. Like a human heart's fucking valuable. I guess you can buy it in some places, but like, you guys get what I'm saying. A really good relationship is invaluable. Stuff like that in which like things have meaning and they have value without necessarily attaching a price tag to it, and that is why you are valuable, why you are inherently valuable. So what I want you to do is when you're pricing whatever you sell, I want you to really think about the economic value. I don't want you to personalize it and make it about how much am I worth? These people aren't buying my program or my service or my course. I guess that means that I'm not good enough. First of all, that's a story that you're telling yourself. And even if you were to say, I guess this course isn't good enough, again, that's a story that you're telling yourself. And it's really important for you to price your services based on its economic value, based on the experience that you've had. It doesn't necessarily, so let's say you're a coach. You don't necessarily have to include experience from you literally coaching somebody on Zoom. It can be from high school, from college or university. It can be in the corporate setting where you help someone. It could be from your best friends whenever they call you when they need help and you coach them through an issue. You have more experience than you think. When you suffer with imposter syndrome, it's really hard for you to look back because you think that your worth is based on the things that you will do in the future. But it's really important for you to look back and see, what have I done to contribute to this? I have a psychology degree, I have a master's degree, and even though none of those degrees actually involved me sitting down and coaching somebody, I did a lot of technical experience work and a lot of theorization, is that a word? Theory in terms of psychology practices and why we do things and the way we do things. And that is all valuable stuff now that I work with people. So it's very important for you to really root yourself in the experience and the skill set that you have and how that will translate into an economic value. Don't make it about how much you are worth. Don't think to yourself, well, this person isn't going to pay me because I'm not worth it. It is not about you. And if you depersonalize it this way, it's going to make it a lot easier to sell because it's more depersonalized. Have you ever talked about a movie over and over again and been like, this movie is so good, and someone was like, yeah, I'm going to watch that? You sold them on something, but it was because you were detached from it. And that's something that you should do with your own services as well. Detach from it being all about you and being about like your ego and your value, and put more emphasis into what the economic value is of the course or the program or the service and how it is going to serve your client so well. That doesn't mean that you can't say, oh my God, this is how this has changed my life personally, but the focus is on the economic value, their ROI, their return on investment. And the thing is even if you are a life coach or something that's more in the personal development realm, you are creating an ROI from them because, as I said before in this episode, ROI doesn't necessarily have to be something of financial value. It can be something like your relationship coach. So you help somebody really learn how to communicate with their partner, and then they have a better relationship because of it, and that is an ROI. When I work with my clients, they definitely get financial gains from it. Absolutely. I see it all the time, but they also just feel better and feel good and aren't as stressed and don't react so emotionally to things, and their life slowly starts to change. That is an ROI. It doesn't always have to be financial. So if you've been listening to this episode and you're like, but what's my economic value when I'm a fucking life coach, Jill? It's like, no, like you have an ROI. You just have to dig deep and figure out what is the transformation that you provide for people and how can you make it sellable. So essentially, this is why I don't want you to charge your worth. I want you to charge your economic value, and I want you to be firm in that economic value, and that includes going through your skill set and your experience and how you provide an amazing ROI and transformation for your client, and that is going to make you feel so much better and detach from the situation instead of personalizing it and making it all about you, making it about the ego, and putting the whole emphasis on your worthiness, because you are inherently worthy no matter what. So let me know if you like this episode, screenshot it and put in your story and leave your comments and tag me at your coach Jill. I can't wait to see, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with me, Jillian Perrick. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me at your coach Jill. Of course, I'd love for you to rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review. And if you screenshot your review and send it to me at your coach Jill on Instagram, I'll send you a free gift. At the very least, make sure you follow me on Instagram, again at your coach Jill, for tons of free content, strategies, and inspo. See you next time.